Is HomePod 2 still worth getting in 2024, or should you wait for the rumored HomePod 3? Is one HomePod 2 better than two HomePod mini? And how is it to actually own one? Well, let's find out. Let's talk about design first. I was very surprised by how small the HomePod 2 actually is after unboxing it. I have never owned the first generation of HomePod, but I have had HomePod mini for ages now, and I was expecting this one to be significantly larger for some reason. But to my surprise, it's rather small. I mean, look, here is HomePod 2 next to the HomePod mini. And now next to JBL Extreme 3 or even next to Marshall's Stanmore 2. Spoiler alert! Despite being the smallest, the HomePod 2 sounds the best of the bunch. But there are of course some caveats. And I think this is where this product shines and where my jaw dropped because it has no business sounding as good as it does and being this tiny. It should be physically impossible. Oh no, my cat is taken. Come on, hurry up. I'm trying to make a video here. Already take that. And this is where this product shines and where my jaw dropped because it has no business sounding so good as it does and being this tiny. It should be physically impossible. I mean, smaller speaker means smaller, less pronounced sound, right? Wrong, but more on the sound later. The overall design is your typical Apple product with its minimalist look, high quality fabric mesh, and I have to say it fits in most home environments pretty well. I would even go as far as saying that some people might confuse the HomePod 2 with some kind of designer vessel or some kind of art piece and would never guess that this is actually a smart speaker. I do like this design, and it also comes in black or midnight as Apple calls it, but I have a feeling that the black one can easily show dust and fingerprints on its glass screen at the top. The screen, or rather LED array, animates accordingly to the current interaction with the speaker, and the animations are very well done and futuristic looking. This touch control panel supports various gestures, for example, tap to play and pause, double tap to skip, triple tap, you guessed it, to skip back, and touch and hold to initiate Siri. There's also a huge plus and minus to control the volume manually. However, the volume controls are difficult to read, especially on the white version, and it always takes me a while to figure out which one is plus and which one is minus. Or maybe it's just me. The power cord can now be finally removed, which was something users commonly criticized about the first generation. This means you can now thread the cord through the holes in your desk for better cable management. But what about the whole smart speaker experience? Now Siri is, well, Siri. Not the best smart assistant out there by a long shot. But that doesn't make this a lesser smart speaker than its competition. You can still control your home and music just by using your voice. So HomePod can essentially do anything you would expect from a smart speaker besides playing music. It can set a timer, it can turn off the lights in the bedroom, adjust the thermostat temperature, lower the blinds, you get the idea. It also supports sound recognition and it can send you notifications about your smoke alarm detector going off while you're not at home, for example. This can definitely be very handy. There are temperature and humidity sensors in both HomePod 2 and the HomePod mini, which can help you adjust your smart thermostat or humidifier. I find this feature pretty handy. HomePod 2 also supports Matter, which is very important for future compatibility. Matter is now a home smart connectivity standard. Intercom feature can be pretty handy, assuming you have a massive house and you want to give people who you live with a heart attack. Now, the intercom can not only be accessed via the HomePod, but also via your iPhone or Apple Watch. It's as simple as saying, intercom.
Go ahead.
What's for dinner?
Okay, intercom to everyone in our home, blah blah.
Now the way it produces sound is also very smart because it uses computational audio to produce sound based on how close or far it sits from the wall and where it is situated within the room. I've tried unplugging the HomePod 2 and moving it to see if the calibration would happen again. Right, so I just moved the HomePod. Let's see if it's gonna work if I plug it in, if it's gonna recalibrate again as it should. It's thinking, it's doing something, that's for sure. Right, so no calibration happened after I move the HomePod, which is weird because it just means I probably need to do it manually, unpair the HomePod and just manually calibrate it for this room and for this space, which kind of sucks, to be honest. You can also pair two of them together and have a much wider soundstage. Or if you have Apple TV, you can pair two of them with your TV. They work great, especially for smaller rooms, but let's just focus on the single HomePod 2 experience for now. Let's talk about sound. Does it sound good? Well, yeah, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't make a video about it. I'm not an audiophile and I don't own specialized equipment to go deep and conduct proper sound analysis. There are other channels out there that have done that very well. But here is my impression of how the HomePod 2 sounds and performs. It produces clear, high-fidelity sound, even at very low volumes, which is something I like a lot. Thanks to 4-inch high-excursion woofer, you will feel the beats shaking in your chest. It also has 5 tweeters and microphones, specifically for automatic bass correction. Something to keep in mind is that there is no EQ, unlike with Bose and Sonos or other speakers. You are stuck with the sound signature typical to HomePod, which means that while lows and highs are very well pronounced, mids are kind of muffled at times. The 4 far-field microphones are great. You can shout to Siri across the room even with the loud music playing, and it has no issue recognizing your commands. Now obviously the best way to experience music on HomePod is via Apple Music. You can either AirPlay your favorite playlist or ask Siri to play the music directly from the speaker. There is also a feature introduced in the past with iOS 16.3 where you can shout at Siri to play ambient sounds to help you focus, get some work done, or fall asleep. All you need to do is say, Siri, play ambient sounds. Or you can be more specific. For example, hey Siri, play ambient sounds of the forest. It's a nice feature, don't get me wrong, but I personally prefer to use an app called Dark Noise, where you have more options and you can even blend together different noises to create a perfect tune for your purpose. Many people think that using HomePod as their max speaker is a good idea, but there is a massive lag. You can use it for listening to music, but definitely not for watching movies or conference calls. And God forbid if you want to use it for video or music editing. Initially, HomePod was criticized not only for its lack of features and high price, but also because it was mostly limited to users who had Apple Music. You could also use Spotify and other third-party music streaming apps, but the experience wasn't as seamless. However, this has changed. And while it is still better and easier to use Apple Music, you can now also use services such as Spotify in all their glory, including Handoff. With Handoff, you simply tap the HomePod with your iPhone to transfer whatever is playing on your phone to the HomePod. You can of course use Siri to do this if she gets it, right? And I mean that's good. There are plenty of people heavily invested in Apple ecosystem who simply prefer other streaming services over Apple Music. Heck, I've had Spotify since 2012, and even though I tried Apple Music when it was introduced in 2015, I always go back to Spotify. Currently, I'm using Apple Music because I'm happy with its current state, but who knows for how long. But what about HomePod Mini? I mean, one of them costs 100 euros, so getting two would be still cheaper than having one large 300 euro HomePod 2. Well, let's see. I have two HomePod Minis here, and I will test some traditional songs as well as spatial audio song. However, I can only play some of them in the video due to copyright issues. So this is how HomePod 2 sounds. This is how one HomePod Mini sounds. And last but not least, this is how two of them paired together sound. And guess what? Okay, so here is my conclusion after listening few songs over and over again. And guess what? There's not a huge difference. The main difference, probably, from what I can hear, is that with two HomePods Mini, you get much wider soundstage, and with one HomePod 2, you get a much deeper and much clearer bass. But otherwise, it's not a huge difference. So if you want, you can save 100 euros or $100. You can do so by just getting two HomePods Mini and pairing them together. So it really comes down to your preference and user scenario, I would say. But I don't imagine two HomePods Mini sounding as good in stereo in larger room. Like this is the mid-size room and it sounds pretty decent. Again, it's totally up to you, but I would, having the less cables, having the less things to care about, I would just prefer to have one HomePod. But if you want to save some buck and you buy two HomePods Mini, you'll be perfectly satisfied because they sound really good together. According to rumors and leaks, the new HomePod 3 is on the horizon, which raises the question, is the Gen 2 worth in 2024? If you are already invested in the Apple ecosystem and you're looking for a minimal speaker that looks and sounds good, then yes. However, I would not pay full price, but instead shop around for some good deals. Additionally, if you already own one, getting another one on sale makes perfect sense for stereo pairing. Firstly, what are the new HomePod rumors and what might be some of the new features coming to the new HomePod? One of the most highly anticipated changes is the full-size screen on top of the device. However, I'm not sure about this because one of the main reasons why I like HomePod is its minimal look, and having the full feature display on top would ruin this. But that's just my opinion. Instead, I would prefer a new form factor with an iPad-like screen and good speakers, which would be a true smart home hub for controlling all your smart devices. But of course, these are just rumors and only time will tell. Now, what is my conclusion on HomePod 2 in 2024? If you prefer a sleek looking speaker that is really easy to use, works out of the box, and you don't plan to use it with other devices such as laptop, turntable or whatnot, then it is still a great investment, especially if you already own other Apple products and would also benefit from smart home control. The upside is also its compact size paired with robust sound. Again, remember that it does not support EQ adjustments, but if you like the default way this speaker is tuned, then it's not even a discussion, go for it. Of course, there are alternatives from Google or Amazon, which actually do the whole smart speaker thing much better with superior smart assistant. The downside of the HomePod 2? Well, there are plenty of them, including the fact that if you are not in Apple ecosystem, this simply isn't a product for you. It's also fairly expensive, and despite the fact that it does support Dolby Atmos spatial audio, the Era 300 from Sonos does a way better job in reproducing spatial audio thanks to the way that speaker is designed. But again, that's a different conversation since the Era 300 is more expensive and way larger when compared to the HomePod 2. Someone somewhere asked me whether you can actually use HomePod Mini on power bank. So let's find out. I have a regular power bank here and it's 2400 milliamp hours, and it does have a USB-C input and output. So let's see. Let's take one of the HomePod Minis and just plug it in to the power bank. It works.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. For more info, check the Home app.
Let's see if I'll be able to play music on it. Works. It works perfectly fine. Anyways, moving on. Now that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Make sure to comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.